The mystery began on a cold autumn evening in the small town of Ashwood, a quiet community tucked between thick forests and rolling hills. Nothing unusual ever happened there. The residents knew one another by name. Children rode their bicycles through the streets until sunset, and the local newspaper rarely had anything more exciting to report than a town fair or a school football game. That changed on October 14. At exactly 7:43 p.m. every clock in Ashwood stopped. Not just a few clocks, every clock. Wall wristwatches, digital alarms, church tower clocks, school clocks, even the electronic time displays at the gas station. They all froze at the same moment. At first, nobody thought much of it. People assumed it was a strange coincidence or perhaps a power fluctuation. Yet when electricity remained stable and batteries tested perfectly fine, confusion spread throughout the town. The following morning, something even stranger happened. A local farmer named Robert Hale reported that an entire section of his cornfield had vanished overnight. Not destroyed, not harvested, vanished. The crop simply ended in a perfectly straight line, as if someone had cut a giant square out of the field and removed it. The missing section measured nearly 50 feet across. Investigators arrived and searched for tire tracks, footprints, and signs of equipment. They found nothing. The soil beneath the missing corn was untouched. The mystery made local headlines. Then things became far more disturbing. 3 days later, a woman named Sarah Miller called the sheriff's department in tears. She claimed she had lost 6 hours of her day. According to Sarah, she left work at 4 p.m. The next thing she remembered was standing in her kitchen at 10 p.m. She had no memory of driving home. No memory of entering her house. No memory of cooking the meal that sat half-eaten on her table. Her car was parked neatly in the driveway. Security cameras from nearby businesses showed her driving normally. Nothing appeared unusual. Doctors suspected stress or a medical episode, but Sarah's medical tests came back normal. Then another resident reported the same thing, and another. Within 2 weeks, 23 people claimed to have experienced unexplained missing time. The stories varied, but one detail remained identical. Every victim remembered seeing a strange white light moments before their memory gap began. The sheriff contacted state authorities. Soon, professional investigators arrived in Ashwood. Their task seemed simple. Find a logical explanation. What they discovered only deepened the mystery. One investigation team analyzed the frozen clocks. Engineers disassembled dozens of devices. The mechanical parts appeared functional. The electronic systems showed no signs of damage. Yet every clock remained permanently frozen at exactly 7:43 p.m. No matter how many repairs technicians attempted, the clocks would never move again. It was as though time itself had become trapped inside them. Meanwhile, another team focused on the missing cornfield. Soil samples revealed unusually high levels of electromagnetic activity. Scientists couldn't explain why. The readings resembled those found near powerful industrial equipment, yet no such equipment existed anywhere near Ashwood. Then came the discovery that changed everything. A retired teacher named Margaret Lewis brought investigators an old journal belonging to her grandfather. The journal was nearly 80 years old. While reading through it, Margaret noticed something shocking. Her grandfather described events almost identical to the ones occurring in Ashwood. The entry was dated October 1938. It mentioned stopped clocks, missing crops, strange lights, residents losing time. Investigators were stunned. The similarities were impossible to ignore. Further research uncovered newspaper archives from 1938. The reports matched the journal perfectly. Even more disturbing, another set of records from 1882 described the same phenomena, and yet another from 1794. Every few generations, Ashwood appeared to experience the same bizarre events. No explanation had ever been found. The pattern transformed the investigation. This was no longer a local mystery. It had become a historical puzzle stretching back centuries. Experts from universities across the country arrived to study the case. Historians searched archives. Scientists conducted field research. Psychologists interviewed witnesses. No one could find answers. Then, one night, investigators received a frantic radio call from a research team stationed in the forest outside town. The transmission was filled with static. The frightened voice shouted only 4 words. "It's happening again." Then silence. Rescue teams rushed to the location. When they arrived, they found the research camp abandoned. Vehicles remained parked. Equipment remained running. Computers remained powered on. But the researchers were gone. 5 people had vanished. No signs of struggle existed. No footprints led away from the camp. It was as if the team had simply ceased to exist. The disappearance made national news. Federal agencies joined the investigation. Search helicopters scanned miles of forest. Tracking dogs found nothing. Weeks' families demanded answers. Authorities had none. Then one of the missing researchers suddenly reappeared. At 3:12 a.m., a police officer spotted Dr. Daniel Reeves walking along a highway 30 miles from Ashwood. Daniel appeared confused, exhausted, terrified. When questioned, his story shocked everyone. He claimed only minutes had passed since his disappearance. To him, he had never left the camp. Daniel described seeing a bright light emerge from the forest. The light expanded into what he called a wall of white. Then everything vanished. The next thing he remembered was standing beside the highway. Investigators assumed he was traumatized. Yet medical examinations produced impossible findings. Daniel's wristwatch showed a date 17 days in the future. Even stranger, plants collected from his clothing contained pollen from species that were not currently blooming. Scientists couldn't explain it. The mystery deepened further when investigators analyzed Daniel's GPS equipment. The device contained location records placing him hundreds of miles offshore in the Atlantic Ocean during the period he was missing. Authorities assumed the equipment malfunctioned, but multiple devices showed identical data. The probability of matching errors was nearly zero. Public fascination exploded. Television crews flooded Ashwood. Internet forums filled with theories. Some blamed secret military experiments. Others suggested extraterrestrial involvement. Many believed supernatural forces were responsible. Yet none of the theories matched all the evidence. Months passed. Then came the most significant breakthrough. A physicist named Dr. Elena Ward reviewed centuries of records from Ashwood. She noticed something everyone else had missed. Every major event occurred during specific astronomical alignments. The dates corresponded with rare positions of Earth, the Moon, and several distant celestial bodies. The pattern was extraordinarily precise. Using historical data, Elena predicted another event would occur on December 2. Investigators prepared extensively. Hundreds of sensors were deployed throughout Ashwood. High-speed cameras covered key locations. Scientists waited. December 2 arrived. Nothing happened during the day. As evening approached, tension grew. At 7:42 p.m., every monitoring station reported normal readings. Then 1 minute later, chaos erupted. At exactly 7:43 p.m., alarms sounded across town. Electromagnetic sensors spiked beyond measurable limits. Communication systems failed. Lights flickered. Witnesses reported seeing a massive white glow above the forest. Hundreds of cameras recorded the event. When researchers reviewed the footage later, they made an astonishing discovery. For precisely 11 seconds, the glow appeared on every recording. Then the image vanished. Not faded, vanished. Frame by frame, it simply ceased to exist. Even more bizarre, those 11 seconds contained visual distortions unlike anything scientists had ever seen. Objects appeared stretched. Shadows moved independently. The forest seemed to bend. Experts spent months analyzing the footage. No explanation emerged, but one detail changed the entire investigation. A camera positioned near the center of the anomaly captured something unexpected. For a fraction of a second, a figure appeared within the light. The image was blurry, yet investigators could clearly distinguish a human silhouette. The person seemed to be standing inside the phenomenon. Enhanced analysis revealed something chilling. The silhouette matched the height, build, and clothing of a missing researcher, one who had never returned. The image sparked intense debate. Was it really one of the missing scientists, or merely a visual artifact? No one could say. The mystery grew even stranger when residents began reporting recurring dreams. Dozens of unrelated people described nearly identical experiences. They dreamed of walking through a bright white landscape. They saw unfamiliar stars overhead. They heard voices speaking an unknown language. Most unsettling of all, many claimed they encountered people who had disappeared from Ashwood throughout history. Psychologists initially dismissed the reports as suggestion and mass influence. However, interviews conducted independently produced remarkably consistent details. People who had never met one another described the same locations, symbols, and conversations. The odds seemed impossible. Years passed. The investigation became one of the largest unsolved cases in modern history. Thousands of pages of evidence accumulated. Scientists continued studying data. Historians uncovered additional records. Researchers proposed countless theories. None fit all the facts. Then came one final twist. During renovations of Ashwood's oldest church, workers discovered a hidden room beneath the foundation. Inside lay a collection of handwritten journals. The documents dated back over 300 years. Among them was a letter written by the town's founder. The letter described witnessing a strange light in the forest. He claimed several settlers disappeared after entering it. Before ending the letter, he wrote a sentence that would haunt investigators forever. "We found where they went, but we dare not follow." The document provided no further explanation, no map, no details, nothing. Investigators searched for additional pages, they never found them. The hidden room contained no clues regarding what the founder meant. Only that single sentence remained. Today, the mystery of Ashwood remains unsolved. The missing researchers were never found. The vanished crops were never explained. The stopped clock still refused to function. The recurring astronomical pattern continues to puzzle experts. And every few years, residents claim they still see strange lights deep within the forest. Many investigators spent entire careers searching for answers. Some retired without discovering a single definitive clue. Others admitted privately that the case challenged everything they believed about reality. One veteran detective, known for solving some of the country's most difficult cases, summarized the investigation in a single statement before retiring. "I've spent 30 years looking for explanations. Every mystery leaves something behind. A mistake, a witness, a trace. This one left nothing. Just questions. Questions that remain unanswered. Questions that continue to attract curious visitors and determined researchers. Questions that transformed a quiet town into the center of one of history's most baffling mysteries. And perhaps the most unsettling question of all is this: if the town's founder truly discovered where the missing people went, why was he so afraid to tell anyone? That secret disappeared with him, leaving behind a mystery so strange, so impossible, and so deeply unsettling that it left even the most experienced investigators completely speechless.